for this school board for this next school year. A committee of Mr. Braw, Ms. Garlick, and Mr. Abbott met before here, according to policy number 0152, to begin the nomination and slating of candidates. Mr. Braw told the board that the committee had nominated himself for president, Becky White as vice president, and Richard Trueblood as secretary. At this point, we'll call for nominations. Is there a nomination, Mr. Braw, to continue as president of the Salem Community School Board for the 2021 school year?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Ms. White with the nomination, Mr. Opal with the second. We have a vote on this nomination. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? With this being approved, the meeting will now move to the hands of the real star. I don't know if he wants it again, but he has got it. President of the Salem Community School Board, Mr. Roddy Braw.
With our nominating committee, as you, Mr. Acton, listed Becky White as our nomination for vice president. Can we get a second? Second. Second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
That was Mark makes the motion. Mark. And Richard Trueblood was our nomination for secretary for 2021. Can I get a second on that? Second. Becky Humphrey. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Okay, at this point, we'll officially announce our president for the 2021 school year. Rodney, Vice President Becky, and our Secretary Richard. Congratulations, everyone.
All right, let's start in with the meeting here. Routine matters. We've already went through our school board officers for 2021. Our meeting date that we have to set for the board has been the second Monday of every month. Is there any issues with that? You guys, everybody's okay with that? Same time, second Monday of every month?
Fine.
Everybody's good? Okay. We'll stay with that. We'll probably stay in the same location just so we can self-distance and allow people in here. If we go to the other one, we may not be able to allow as many people in here. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Becky makes a motion.
I'll
Allison seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. That's time to say that. Number two, approve minutes of the executive and regular session of the December 14th, 2020 meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Becky makes a motion. Ray seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Approve agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Allison makes a motion. Becky, Humphrey, all those in favor, raise your hand. Number 4, approve claims today.
I'll make a motion.
Ray makes a motion.
I'll second.
Becky White seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, number 5, approval of personnel and ECA recommendations. Sarah Richards, you guys have a copy of the resignation there when you're done. Resignation from SHS Administrative Assistant. Linda G. Martin, retirement from Assistant to the Food Service Director effective 9/1/2021. Melinda Mindy Huffman from Interim to SMS Cafe Manager. Kimberly Wilkerson from BSC Cafe. Elizabeth Haven, transfer from BSC 5th grade special ed teacher to BSC 4th grade teacher. John Calhoun, SHS STEM coach. Lisa Nice, SMS STEM coach. Emily Johnson, BSC STEM coach. Lindsay McKinley, maternity leave. Michelle Medlock, maternity leave. Mark Collins, volunteer assistant high school swim coach. The next 3 are, I'm the high school softball coach, but I can't be paid, so I'm the volunteer. They took my pay, and I Abby Whitlock, who pitched at Silver Creek, is going to come on our staff with us. So Terry Backers will be our varsity softball JV coach. Alex and Abby will split our varsity softball under me. So we welcome Abby. Most of you know Terry and Alex, great additions, great role models for our girls. Josh Lewis is also a new teacher here. SCS boys head track coach. And can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Allison makes a motion, Becky Humphrey seconds. All those in favor? Right hand. All right, donation. Consider approval of a donation to Brady Shrum Elementary for $150 from the Washington County Farm Bureau. Consider approval of a donation to Salem Middle School for $200 from Harry and Susan Carter. Consider approval of a donation to Salem High School football team for $1,060 from the Football Alumni Association. Consider approval of a donation to Salem High School Athletic Department for $3,000 from the Washington County Community Foundation. Ray makes a motion. Richard seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Comments from the audience. Do we have anybody signed up here? Anybody want to sign up? Anybody have anything to say? Bonnie, good to see you. Everybody else? Good to see you, Mrs. Acton. How are you? Good. Next one, I'm going to turn it over to, you're going to do this one?
I'm going to start it out and pass it over to Mr. Minton, who will do the official honors. Each month, to the best of our ability, Salem Community Schools is going to recognize a community partner, a business partner, who have gone above and beyond to not just support our students, our staff, but our community. So each month we're selecting someone that is special to Salem Community Schools and the town of Salem. So without spoiling it, I'll pass over the introduction and the announcement to Mr. Minton.
I had the pleasure of presenting the Sagamore Salem Award to several businesses over the past few months. And this one will be going to Walmart. We want to thank Walmart because of their monetary donations to the school, their donation of supplies to the school, and also their helping hands to the school. That they've done so much to help us out in different areas, different aspects. And so we would like for Walmart to come forward.
The first thing they said is, what did we do? So I think that there's so many things that they do for our school system and I know for our community. And this to me is almost a no-brainer for all of that. And I think that the community is very grateful. But of course, as a school system, we wanted to show our appreciation in all that you do and how valuable the relationship and partnership that we have with you is, and with all that you do. So not one specific thing, but several.
I'll start it and I'll have Kim do the official. I'll just briefly say Baker and Tilly here and let you do the final with them. Tyler and Eric, right?
All right. I will treasure that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Being a Salem alum, it makes you even better. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, next on our agenda is a presentation by Baker, Tilly, and Ice Miller. I'm going to let Dr. Thurston do more of the introductions, but Tyler and Eric are going to come down. When you get the big wigs to come down from Indy, that shows their involvement and interest in what's happening at Salem, and some pretty exciting things are happening. So I'll pass over to Dr. T.
Pleased tonight to have Tyler local host with Baker Tilly and Eric along with Ice Miller for Tyler on the financial side to provide just some preliminary information of what a bond issuance will look like and the impact for this projects. And for Eric to kind of help the new members understand the procedures involved with issuing bonds, what a 1028 hearing entails, and some of the notification, general information, which I think is valuable to the board and especially to our new board members. So with that, I'm going to shut up and let these knowledgeable young men proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case it's a handout. Yeah, everybody got it. Good.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. As they were saying, my name is Tyler Luffel-Holtz with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors, and tonight I'll be walking through some of the financial implications of the proposed projects. Now, on page 2, you'll see a summary of the school corporation's current outstanding debt, but on page 3, you'll see a better visual of this information. And as you can see, you have a drop in total annual payments in 2025, and then they will all be paid off at the end of that year. Now, when we're looking ahead for the upcoming projects, what we've done on the next couple of slides is split those project costs into a portion that will be funded by a FEMA grant and the portion that the school corporation will be responsible for. So for the middle school project, the grant will cover about $3.58 million, and the school will be responsible for $2.67 million. For the high school project, the grant would cover $3.87 million, and the school corporation would be responsible for $2.9 million. And then adding up the school corporation's portion of those costs would get us to $5.57 million. So what we've done is we've structured a $5.57 million bond issue to cover those costs. And on page 7, you'll see how this new bond issue will look with your outstanding debt. Now, using conservative interest rates that are 1% higher than current rates, we estimate a total interest expense over the life of the bonds to be about $765,000. And we have structured these in a way to again see a drop in 2025, and then the bonds will be paid off by 2028. And what that drop in 2025 will do, will give you flexibility in the future if you have other additional needs come up. You can fill in some of the debt in that drop so that you don't have increasing total annual payments and increase your debt service tax rate. But with this bond issue, as you can see in 2022, that the total annual payments are higher than 2021. And because of that, we do estimate a debt service tax rate increase of about 4.45 cents. Now this page, you can see how that would affect various taxpayers within the school corporation. I won't read through all of these numbers, but I'll highlight a homeowner with a median home value within the school corporation of $108,900 would see an impact of $17.15 a year, or $1.43 a month. For each acre of agricultural land, we'd see an impact of 57 cents per year, or 5 cents a month. And for every $100,000 of commercial or rental property, we'd see an impact of $44.50, or $3.71 per year. And that is all I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Just a general timeline right now. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. When will you probably wait on something?
I think the current timetable has us selling bonds or locking in rates on April 29th, and then closing on the bonds and receiving the funds on May 20th.
Kind of a straightforward, I'm not trying to minimize the impact at all, but this is kind of a straightforward project, in your opinion, correct,
It
sir?
is, it is.
Awesome.
It is, and when we started this whole process, we did multiple special meetings to talk about it. And what you see there with those itemizations for certain $100,000 a farm, commercial property, that's what we asked for up front when we were making our decision. So that's where that came from. I went to Mr. Atkins and said, I want something that we can show the taxpayers simply as to how and that's still holding up. And as you heard him say, that's still at 1% higher than the actual rate. So we appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Tommy.
Good evening once again to the members of the board and the administration. Again, as Dr. Thurston said, my name is Eric Long. I'm with the law firm of Ice Miller, and I was here last summer. Some of you board members are probably familiar with me, but for those who are just onboarding, first of all, I say welcome and congratulations on your appointment to the board, and maybe just give you a 30-second primer as to why there's another lawyer in the room, since you already have a lawyer sitting at your table with you. Whenever a school corporation or any taxing unit goes to market for a tax-exempt municipal bond issuance, it's a congruence of federal securities law, federal tax law, and a little bit of state law, because we're talking about property tax-backed bonds. So we kind of come in with Ice Miller as special counsel. We work in concert with your general counsel to guide you through all the guideposts regarding complying with all the state law provisions to come to a bond issue that's property tax-backed. And at the end of the day, you know, you're issuing a tax-exempt municipal security, so we make sure that you're compliant on the federal tax side and federal security side of that as well. So just a quick primer there. Just to piggyback off of what Tyler presented, the general timeline for coming to market with a bond issue of this size and scope would start with, there's no action tonight, this is all just informational purposes, so it would start with what we call a 1028 hearing or a project hearing, proposed to be as soon as February, and would conclude around the end of May with actually getting money, closing on the bond issue. In February, one of the steps that would be taken is a reimbursement resolution, which would reserve your right to reimburse yourselves out of bond proceeds should anything need to be expended prior to actually closing on the bond issue. So if you have architectural fees or any kind of site work that has to be done that has to come out of pocket now, you would adopt a reimbursement resolution so that you can reimburse yourselves upon closing of the bond issue with those bond proceeds. More importantly, you would conduct a 1028 hearing. There's one specific provision in Indiana law that says whenever you propose to finance more than $1 million to construct, repair, alter any school facility, you have to have a public hearing on that where folks can come comment. You basically present on the needs at the school site. So here we're talking about the middle school and the high school, so two separate sites, two separate projects, and then how those projects are going to meet those needs that you're addressing. And so presentation would be, you know, somewhat in line with what Tyler already showed this evening as far as the financial information. You'd have a more in-depth discussion, perhaps by Mr. Acton, Dr. Thurston, or any representative from the folks who are on the construction design side of things to talk more in detail about the project. What are the needs of those schools, and how is the project at each site going to meet those needs? And then you just open it up for a hearing to hear folks comment on it. So that's what we propose to happen in February. Then, speaking in general terms, and we have a timetable that we share with the administration late last year that we'd be glad to share with you folks as well. We're talking basically about 2 more additional board meetings in conducting action in March and then again in April. Once we're through all the action, then we kind of have a marketing phase of the bond issue where we'd put a prospectus or an official statement out to investors, potential investors of the bonds. We would have a call with a rating agency, we diligence the prospectus document, and then there would be a bond sale. And then, you know, roughly, kind of like you see on like when you do a financing of a mortgage, you have like a time period where you first sign documents, then you wait a few weeks, then you actually close. So that's kind of similar to what happened here as well. In case you were paying close attention last summer, the school corporation did a different bond issue last year. It was a much smaller project, and in that case, it was what we call a general obligation bond issue, And I want to talk about that for a second because in that case, the school corporation itself is the issuer of the bonds. It's a lot simpler process. In this case, because we're talking about multiple projects and a dollar amount of a financing approaching $5 million or thereabouts, the structure is such that the lease financing mechanism is what's required. So that means in this case, we have a building corporation, a nonprofit building corporation. Salem already has one of those. We're just going to call upon them once again. So there would be a couple months worth of meetings and action for them to take parallel to the school board's action. And at the end of the day, the building corporation would be the actual issuer of the bonds, still, using all the funds solely for the purpose of constructing the projects. So I brought my trusty device here to have the full timetable at my fingertips in case you folks have any questions. But that's kind of the timeline in a nutshell, focusing obviously on the next proposed board action at the February meeting.
February meeting, what action are we
Oh,
going to
what we're doing? Yeah.
Great question. So what action would be taken at the February meeting? It would be conducting the 1028 hearing itself, and then adopting the 1028 or project resolution. There's under a separate statutory provision, there's a resolution determining the need for the project by the board, and then the reimbursement resolution, which again reserves your right to reimburse yourself out of bond proceeds should you have to expend any funds before closing on the bond issue.
And notice that hearing is a separate advertisement, is that right?
Correct. So that would be proposed to, it's a 10-day advance notice requirement, so that would be proposed to be published at the end of January. And then we would propose to come back in March to talk more about the actual lease agreement with the building corporation. And at that time, we'd also propose to reapprove the building corporation for federal tax purposes, concluding with what we call a lease hearing in April. So that would be the final board action, would be able to come back for another hearing for a different purpose, just to talk about the lease hearing itself and discuss more detail about the financing.
Eric, could you explain to us a little more about the difference, why with the general obligation bond, we're the debtor, whereas in a project like this, why you do, and how the lease purchase, how that works, why we do it differently?
Sure. So a question about what's the difference between a general obligation bond with the school and a lease financing, and why would we entertain this here? It's a great question, and it goes to an old constitutional formula. That is, the school corporation as a direct issuer of debt has a limit on how much you can issue. So that, it's a constant formula that it's, for lack of a better analogy, it's kind of like a line of credit. You have a certain number, and depending on how much you have outstanding at a given amount of time, that's how much, the difference is how much you have left to borrow. So we always monitor that and try to utilize that mechanism whenever we can. For most school corporations, it's a fairly small number, and in situations where the capacity isn't there or the project is too large, that's where 80 years ago, thereabouts, the Supreme Court of Indiana blessed this alternative mechanism of using a building corporation lease financing method.
So this corporation actually is the issuer of the bonds, the borrower, and then it leases back, and we make lease payments as a school to this corporation.
Correct, yes. So it's, at the end of the day, in either case, it's the school corporation making debt service payments out of your property taxes. It's just in this instance, those debt service payments are in the form of lease rental payments with the building corporation. And at the end of the day, it still is, the sole available use of those funds is strictly for the project that's been approved.
Thank you.
And then we select the trustee, which has been U.S. Bank, and really been asked to manage and hold those funds.
Correct, yeah. So there is an independent trustee bank whose fiduciary duty is to hold those funds and just expend those for the directed purposes. Correct.
Thank you, Eric. You can't see me. I'm smiling behind my mask. My brother is an attorney in D.C., and when you guys talk, it reminds me I didn't study enough at IU. So thank you. Thank you so much. For everyone, especially for our new board members, the project scope has changed only slightly, because the original concept, I think from the prior administration, is that the middle school project was going to be a community party room concept. We've asked our architects to pivot and make it a more academic focused facility. So we're going to get an update on Thursday with Covert Hawkins, but it is going to be a community STEAM center. And already they've made some substantial changes. It doesn't change anything with anything that was discussed tonight, but the innards of that, it's going to be a pretty cool facility for Salem kids and to outreach for the community. We asked them to look at some existing facilities, Eminence, Kentucky, Plainfield Community Schools. They've created some really interesting options and opportunities for kids. What's going to be created here for Salem kids is not going to be, there's nothing close to what our kids are going to have for options and opportunities. It's really, I told the board, some really exciting things coming, and these two gentlemen are helping us realize these opportunities for our kids. So thank you guys.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and happy to entertain any more questions you might have.
I'm going to pass this one to Doc. Doc, would you talk more about establishing the Board of Finances? We don't need to adjust anything with the flow of the meeting, but just this concept.
Right, in the packet on tab 10, there's a copy of the code addressing establishing boards of finance. And it's been the past practice of Salem School Board to establish a board of finance. Historically, the president of the board and the secretary of the board serve as the officers for the board of finance. Periodically, the board of finance can review investments. There aren't a lot of investments now, given the current economic climate, not like there was in the early 2000s. Interest rates were much higher and cash on hand. But nevertheless, would recommend that the school board adopt a board of finance with the making the current president and secretary the officers, and then following that, like you just report on the exciting distressed student appeals board and their fiscal indicators. No, we're going to do it right now, Mr. President. I mean, if you'll take the vote to please.
I'll make the motion.
Becky makes the motion. White. Ray second. All those in favor, raise your hand.
The Senate Act 549 directs the superintendent or the superintendent's designee to submit a written report to the board of finance, school board, it's in the packet, that addresses the fiscal indicators established by the district. Find in your packet, it's in the tab. I like to just go through this real quickly, I don't want to labor it over a great deal. The first page looks at the historical count of the attendance and the average daily membership of the school board. You can see from 2012 to 2020 is the range of this data will be delivered tonight. Our ADM has ticked down somewhat over the last several years. Our current challenges I see with this is we have a new budget coming on to the legislature this session that will begin on June 30th. Right now, I believe we'll be funded at our current level until June 30th of 2020, subject to our student count. Currently, our student tuition support is $6,358.62 per student. But we need to continue to be diligent about how we manage our resources, how we look at where our count is with our student body. Going forward after July 1, we'll have challenges, I believe, with the renovation, bus replacement, and capital projects fund. The last 2 years, we have seen growth in the education fund. In 2019 and 2020, we increased our cash balance in that fund. Some of this year's cash balance can be attributed to the assistance we received with the pandemic funding, the COVID relief funding. Some of it has been that we haven't been in session a great deal, so our utility costs have been down. And so that's been somewhat of a factor. I would like to say just my careful management, but there are other factors involved as well. The operations fund, we saw a growth of $115,000 from January 1 of 20 until December 31st. Again, some of that's due to the pandemic, but we have to keep an eye on our resources. We have to keep an eye on how we manage those resources. In 2020, we did not collect $490,000 in property tax because of the circuit breaker that we had no control over. On the third page, the debt service fund and the rainy day fund are shown. The debt service fund is beginning to tick down because with new debt, the state does not, the Department of Local Government Finance does not allow you to collect the first 6 months, the full first 6 months of your debt of the ensuing year. We can collect all of our lease payments for 2021, but we also show the first 6 months of 2022 on our debt service worksheet. And in the past, you could collect 100%, but then the state decided that no, we don't want you to have all of it, we want to cut it down. So there's now a percentage that you can collect, so that's working our cash balance down somewhat in debt service. But we're always going to have the ability to raise our lease rental payments in debt service, because constitutionally, if we can't pay it, the state has to take it over. So I think there's some insurance there on that aspect of it. The state doesn't want our debt, and they will ensure that our lease rental payments come through. Rainy day fund, it's not a large fund. We use it primarily for retirement payments, and it's a stable fund, but it's not a huge one. The remaining pages are pages that look at total revenues, expenditures, and balances from 12 to 2020. The one thing I would say is that we're pretty consistent with these amounts. Our total revenue has increased, but so has our expenditures. And these are total amounts across all funds on page 4. So all the money we take in, all the expenditures we have, and then the balance at the end of the year. Some of this is affected by bonds. Sometimes the bonds are, if we sell a bond like we did with the general obligation bond, well, that's revenue. And it's also expenditure, so that impacts that page. Next page, the fund balances on this page comprise the education operations fund. And that information is back on page 2 as well. These are December 30th cash balances added together. So we're not as good as what I'd like to see, but we're also in the positive 2020, salaries and benefits were 87.5% of the education fund. We are an intensive and full personnel intensive enterprise. And part of this, that we remain below the 15% transfer. In 2020, we transferred less than 15% of the education fund revenue. For example, the DLG, Department of Local Government Finance, has stated we will have revenue of $12,632,465 in the education fund in 2021. 80% of that is $1,894,025. In 2020, we transferred $1,541,000. Operations to pick up the expenses that are no longer covered and cannot be covered in the education fund. So we're staying below 15%, which means we will not get a visit from the stress appeals board. Not what we want. Next year, having a bad audit, we don't want a visit from the stress appeals board. So we're staying there. Well, we're growing our cash at the same time. So we just have to stay on this track. But that's going to be dictated by our student counts and how we manage our resources. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
This one doesn't require any action.
Number 11, we'll move on to consider approval of conflict of interest form. That form is for me because my wife is the nurse at the elementary school. So, get a motion on that one.
I'll make the motion.
Becky makes the motion, Allison seconds, all those in favor. Number 12 is consider reappointment of Rachel Whedon as treasurer for Salem Community School for 2021.
I'll make the motion.
Ray makes a motion, Allison seconds, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Consider reappointment of Tom Cyphers as legal counselor for Salem Community Schools for 2021. Can I get a motion? Becky makes a motion, Mark seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. I'm not used to so many hands. Number 14, consider approval of a memorandum of understanding with the City and Families First Coronavirus Response Act for the Salem Community Schools certified staff.
Yes, tab 14 has a copy of the memorandum of understanding that Mr. Minton and I met with Mr. Alexander and Mrs. Motsinger, officers of the Salem Classroom Teachers Association. And they provided a template for this memorandum of understanding to continue the
Mainly first, short leave back.
right. The federal government chose not to continue it, so we have some employees who have not used the entire 80 hours, but used some of the hours. So this memorandum will allow us to continue to the end of the school year, so that employees who have used some of the hours will still be entitled to the remaining hours that they originally were entitled to under the legislation. So we would recommend, did the association concur with this, Mr. Alexander? Are you guys good?
Everyone participated in the survey agreed.
That would be a good idea.
All right. So we would recommend the board approve this memorandum of understanding, and following the meeting, Mr. Alexander and Mr. Acton will sign the memorandum.
Yeah, for the board members, this is just to carry over the 80 hours. If they've already used it, they can't use it again. This is just giving, or if they've used some and not used others, they can up to 80 hours. motion on that? Nobody put their hand up. Mark, Ray second. Mark makes a motion. Ray second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Number 15, consider approval to continue the.
Same thing, we're just recommending, the same consideration for the support staff, but we do not have a bargaining agreement with the support staff, so net review is not required. However, we want them to receive the same benefits.
Becky Humphrey makes the motion. Allison seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Just want to thank the board. I sent a message out to staff. You really kind of hope that governments at all level will take care of their people. They dropped the ball on this by not extending it. So I appreciate the school board of trustees taking care of the Salem employees. So thank you.
Next is items from staff. Any exciting? Not exciting, anything? Non-action items. New board business.
You got your retirement letter? Or retirement banquet, I'm sorry, not retirement
I
letter.
have a banquet letter.
Yeah.
First. Mrs. Jean Duncan, as most of you probably know, Shirley Nell, who's over at the banquet, School Alumni Association banquet every year. Her and Jean Duncan have put together, along with a few of us from other different classes. My class is 1996 here, and we were set to do it this year, 95 last year. They're all a part of the Face-Off Fest that we go ahead and postpone 2021's banquet until 2022. And that's a signed letter from each of those classes. They want to get ahead of the game. Last year they ordered some stuff and gave some money to the food caterer. They didn't want to do that this year, put anybody in a situation, so they just want to go ahead and postpone that for the next year. So we don't need any vote on that. That's just information that can go out. That will help you put that out. George will help you put that out as well, as our school will also. A couple things, new board business. Any board members welcome to say anything here, but two things that we do have to do. One is Allison. Adele will be our legislative liaison. And can you say what Mark Bates' title is actually going to be with the panel?
Yeah, he's the school board appointee to the Washington County Redevelopment Commission.
There's some new appointees. They jumped in and got some people left real quick. As is most of the others too. They'll find out that it's busy day.
The county commissioners still have to make that appointment. They ask us for a recommendation.
So Mark will be our recommendation. Allison will be our appointment. We're appointing her as the legislative liaison. That Dana will sign her up tomorrow. And then Becky has some cards to read.
With sincere gratitude and appreciation, thank you for the beautiful planter. We appreciate your kind thoughts and the family of Patrick Huffman. Also, from another family, thank you so much for the beautiful gift during this time of grief. Your kindness and thoughtfulness means so much. One more. I would like to thank the board, the administration, and the office staff for your thoughtfulness in the sending me flowers for Beth's passing. She was an amazing young woman that everyone will miss. Thank you for your kindness, Diana Armstrong.
With that, I'll pass it on. Any other new board business? Any board members? Questions or concerns? Anything else on? I'll pass that to Mr. Ackman.
I'm going to give the new board members just a heads up. We're going to come down the road here. It says positive praises, so you're not going to put you on the spot, but if you have anything here in a little bit, we'll kind of model it for you. But we didn't get you everything before the meeting started, so I apologize. I'll give you that heads up. I have 4 or 5 bullet points here, and I'll go quick. We have several students that we want to recognize with Roar Awards. And when we feel it is safest to do that and bring people in this facility, we will do that. But Janice got all the invitations ready, we got the awards ready, but we're gonna err on the caution of making sure we keep everyone safe. So when it's time, we've got a lot of kids we want to recognize for various things, from elementary to high school. We're going to recognize her later, but a quick shout out to Dawn Smith, who is leaving us as our payroll clerk to take a different position. She served over here for 10 years with Salem Community Schools with different positions. I want to tell you about Dawn is our payroll will happen again this Friday. Everyone's going to get paid because she worked above and beyond to make sure that happened. So we're going to miss her, but we'll begin that process of finding a different payroll clerk, but we're going to miss Dawn, and we'll recognize her in the future here at a board meeting. I'll say this real quick because I tease them a lot, but we think a heck of a lot alike. Dr. Thurston just rolls out that finance report. What I tell you, that's not normal at corporations. We have other corporations call Dr. Thurston and ask for advice. So it tells you the kind of skill set of the guy you have. To be in the economic position that Salem Community Schools is because of his diligence, and some people may call his frugality, right? We're going to turn the heat off if we're not in the building, but it all adds up. So put on a sweatshirt, I think, is his battle cry. But when we're not in session, we're going to save costs, and it pays off. So I appreciate him and his efforts in giving that information tonight. So as superintendent, I'm not going to speak for the corporation. I'm going to speak for myself. There's a football game happening tonight. And so from the superintendent of Salem to the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, one of my former students, former players, a guy I got to hire to join me on my staff, he's on the University of Alabama's football staff as their head strength and conditioning coach. And to see this young man, and proof that you don't have to come from a large place. We were at Avon together when Avon was small, and now here he is. His kids will compete for the national championship tonight. And again, I'm speaking for me, not for the corporation, but roll Tide.
Knew that was coming out.
And I have a chauffeur tonight, so I want to publicly thank, as again,
Beautiful. A beautiful chauffeur.
I have a beautiful chauffeur. She's helping us navigate a whole bunch of things and telling me what I can and cannot do. So she drove me down. She's going to drive me home tonight. Thank you. With that, I'm going to pass this over to some positive praises. And
I'll start.
Yes, ma'am.
Good on Lee. First of all, I want to say we had a COVID break, and then we had Christmas break, and then we had New Year's, and then we got to go back to school on Tuesday. And how awesome was that we got to go back in person for those that felt comfortable. And I heard from Amy Collins, and that first day back, which was Tuesday for the teachers, or for the students, a little girl came up and said, "We had a good day. We had a real good day, didn't we? Didn't we have a real good day?" And that just made me just tears. I thought, how awesome, and for our students to get back and ready to get back into a little bit of normal, or just getting back. And so I give a high praise that we could, so far we've made it and continuing on. I know it's day by day, and I don't want to.
we're not jinxing it.
I know, but anyway, so far we'll just keep on pushing on, and hats off to everyone and everyone involved in that. So I give a huge praise that we've been able to do that.
I would say my praise is to Jennifer Martin. I have been just so thankful for her for the last several weeks with having two seniors and their friends that are navigating scholarships and FAFSA forms and letters of recommendations and I know she has just gone above and beyond of helping these kids and trying to connect with them, which has been somewhat challenging not being in person. So I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the kids.
I went to pick my son up from I went to pick up my son for a dentist appointment, and of course he was going a little bit late, and I was looking at the bulletin board, and I don't know who's responsible for it. There's a little sign up there that says you may not be, I don't know word for word, but the premise was I may not be the best athlete, I may not be the best student, I may not be the best speaker, or what have you, but the basic premise was that we can be nice people. So I think it's important and for our entire school system to be just nice people, very inviting, and hopefully that'll allow our schools to do well.
I'm just so thankful that we got to go back to school. Hopefully we'll continue to stay there. So, thank you for that.
I guess I would piggyback along with what Becky said also. At the elementary school, when I directed traffic over there, first of all, I haven't been run over. I appreciate that. But the patience of the people picking up their kids and the safety that the elementary has created, getting kids to the buses and getting kids out to their parents, I think has been very important. I had one teacher, I think the kids are excited about being back. One teacher said, that little girl said, boy, it's great, sort of like she said, today was a great day. Tomorrow's going to be even better. And I think that's a positive thing for our kids. I think they're really happy to be back.
From the word I get from my friends the kids are thrilled to be back. I think the teachers are thrilled to be back. There's so much fear, I think, still, and it's going to be for a while. And I wish I could get the world vaccinated much faster. But they are, if we could do that, maybe schools could feel back on course again. But there's been, I think the year is going well, and I think we've got some awfully nice people to work with, and I think our teachers are trying very, very hard, whether they are from home or whether they're from school, to keep this good activities. And it's if you talk to teachers, it's difficult, and it's difficult for the kids to be away. So, but I think we've got the best things going we can have, and I'm glad that we have all these good people.
I think one of the coolest things while we were out of school was the elementary drive-through. Me and my girls drove through the Christmas lights at the elementary and found out that our new superintendent is that guy who has all the blow-ups in his yard and donated some of those to the elementary school. But that was super cool at the time when kids were home and they could get out and it was backed up all the way to Main Street and get through there. But and again, the teachers that are reaching out, doing things that are out of the box, and Coach and Jennifer Martin and Blair's football coach is track and grade, and that's the softball coach. I told my other coach that we probably should be doing that too. And so Jennifer immediately I sent her, and she sent back GPAs, scores, and all that. So we appreciate everything.
That's pretty generous of you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would like to offer one. Having served different entities before, I've said before, and I want to reiterate that between Mr. Act and Mr. President, that it's easy for the public to play Monday morning quarterback and kind of sit back and criticize this decision or that decision. But having served other entities, I'm really impressed at how on top of things these people are. And last time I offered this, I failed to mention that it's not just them, it's the people in the administration office, including Jenna Hayes over here, because if you deal with her and ask her and work with her, you realize how many things she juggles and how diligent she is about getting things done. And I want to call attention to her and thank her for her dedication to Salem, because it's pretty impressive from my end.
Tina and that staff was there when everybody else was on, so and still doing stuff. So and Tina keeps us straight. In my first 2 years of being here, so we do appreciate you.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah. That's what I told the whole board. We're in good hands.